Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to people in other time zones. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and welcome to the Living in Oneness Summit. It's great to be with you. I'm going to be having a conversation with a very special guest today, Matt Kahn. Matt is a mystic and empath. His spontaneous awakening arose from an out-of-body experience at the age of 8 and his direct experiences with ascended masters and archangels throughout his life. This is going to be truly an amazing hour. I'll introduce Matt here shortly. We're all very excited about today's program. And by the way, wow, we have a great live listening audience today, including just lots of questions that have already come in. Thank you so much, everyone, for prioritizing time to be here. We have about 19,000 registered for today's call. And again, thank you for just being here for today's program. As always, this call is interactive with each of you, our listeners, so we want to invite you to put your questions in the question window on Instant Teleseminar. I promise that we'll get to at least a few of your questions during the hour. A little about Humanities Team as we get started. In Humanities Team, we see there is only one presence, the divine, and see we are all offspring and expressions of the divine. This means God's love, light, grace, and peace are ours because there is no separation and we share the same essence. Since our founding in 2003, we've done our best to live as one with the divine, each other, and our earth home. We don't need to be perfect. It doesn't have to feel heavy. We must only do our best. And we can have fun with this, as I'm sure we'll demonstrate on today's call. When we talk about oneness with the divine, of course, this is true for all of life, not just humanity. This has repercussions for how we see ourselves, others, and the earth that is our home. This means everyone and everything is sacred and should be treated as such. It also means we're responsible for the world around us because, in truth, it's part of our authentic self, encompassing the whole of the earth. Perhaps there's nothing more important than this, coming to see ourself as a cell in the body of the divine, the earth, and stepping into a role where we're caring for the earth and the world that we live in. As you know, this is our focus in Humanities Team, and if you resonate with our work, we invite you to go to humanitiesteam.org, our website, and reach out to us about projects that you might like to become involved in. At this point here, at 13 years old, we're still almost all volunteer. Please get comfortable as we begin our program. I'm now going to introduce our special guest. Matt Kahn is an American-born spiritual teacher who offers Sacred Heart wisdom to awaken the joy of liberated existence in the lives of all. After receiving a Shaktipat transmission and a direct blessing from Ram Dass to teach, Matt, along with his partner, Julie Dittmar, travel the world inviting seekers of all faiths to discover their true divine nature. Matt's spontaneous awakening arose out of an out-of-body experience at about the age of 8 and his direct experiences with ascended masters and archangels throughout his life. Many spiritual seekers have experienced profound healings and have awakened to their true nature through his compassionate teachings. They are often compared to a unique blend of Eckhart Tolle, the great Indian sage Papaji, and the Buddha. Matt is the author of the book entitled Whatever Arises, Love That. Welcome to the Living in Oneness Summit. Matt, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh, it's awesome. We were just talking a little bit here before the program started and just sharing how much we've all been looking forward to this. Matt was part of Global Oneness Day on October 24th last year and got to know him a little bit. Of course, we follow his work around the world, but just really have been looking forward to this hour just with Matt. So we'll jump in because we have so many questions that are already in the window here, a lot to get to in an hour. And, Matt, I thought, personal stories are always so powerful, so I thought maybe we could start with this spontaneous awakening that arose from this out-of-body experience at the age of 8. I'm guessing that helped to just set your life direction, and if you could, just tell us a little about that.
Sure. For most of my life, excuse me, as a child, growing up, as a very energetically sensitive child, I was always very afraid of being in an unfamiliar surrounding. And so one night I had what I thought was a dream. I found myself in the most amazing garden I've ever seen, where the colors of this garden were so bright and vibrant that it was as if every color and hue was overflowing with the vibration of love. And I remember the first thing I thought in this garden was, I don't know where I am, but I know that I'm safe. And I remember that that was a very pivotal experience for me because I'd never had the experience at that age of being somewhere I don't know where I am and feeling totally safe and really held in a love that I had never truly experienced. And it was just a feeling of absolute ecstasy and perfection. And as I started to move through this garden, I started to move through what seemed to me like a field of waist-high flowers. And as I could feel my young body pushing through this field of flowers, I simultaneously realized that I was floating above, hovering above the field of flowers, looking down, watching myself. And I didn't know how I had the experience of hovering above it and walking through it at the same time. But the love was so intense, it was just something that was casually acceptable. And as I was hovering above the flowers, about 20 feet in front of me was this figure in a white robe with a beard and dark hair. And this being motioned me towards him. And I remember that I didn't really move. I just kind of froze in place. And then I started automatically moving towards this being. And as I got about 10 feet from this being, the eyes, it was just pure white light. It's the only way I can describe it, is just pure white light emanating out of the eyes of this being. And for some reason, in my little child mind, it reminded me of like when you watch a scary movie and someone kind of rolls their eyes up and back in their head. And I don't know why I thought about that, but I had that silly thought. And it kind of broke the state of the experience. And I then fell through the field of flowers. I fell through the sky. And once I fell back into my body was the moment I knew that I had left it. And I was shaking. I was hot. I was freezing cold. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw the same figure in my doorway motioning me towards them. And when I looked directly at the figure, it disappeared. And the very next day, I talked to my parents about this experience because my parents are very open to all this, and I had shared this experience with them. And my parents became very intrigued because apparently, and after I told my father this experience, he shared with me having nearly the same experience about 40 years before I did. And of course, I didn't know what that meant, but it started to open me up to the fact that there's a lot more going on in our everyday life than meets the eye, and it truly put me on the course of my spiritual journey that has led me to where I am.
Wow. God, that is amazing. And what a divine thing that in your own family that your dad would have an experience like that preceding you like by 40 years. And, of course, that clearly you were meant to play the role that you're playing today. Matt, when we were talking just before the call, I was sharing of other stories that I've heard you share in video on YouTube where you talked about being there with Jesus and one of his coaches and just how they were sharing with you about your work and your own process for creating healing in the world. Can you bring that experience in too?
Yeah, so after I had this experience, and of course I didn't know who the figure was. I went to my friend's house, and they had a painting of Jesus in their living room wall. And I said, "Who is that?" And my friend said, "Well, that's Jesus." And I said, because I was raised Jewish, and I wasn't really up on the Jesus thing. And I said, "Well, that's who I met in my dream." And my friend was laughing at me, like, "You didn't meet Jesus." And for some reason, I didn't know why that was so off the limits, to meet Jesus. I don't know if I cut some big line or, it was just, that was clearly to me who I met. And from that moment forward, I could feel and see in my peripheral vision these crystalline, pure white light beings or angels that walked with me. And I intuitively knew these are my spirit guides. And I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that's what they were. And so I began this life of just kind of knowing things spontaneously. And then when I was about 18, the guides that I forgot were there started speaking to me. And I would sit in my bedroom of my parents' house, and every day I would intuitively and telepathically meet a different ascended master, a different angel, Archangel Michael, Saint Germain, Archangel Raphael, Mother Mary. And I started working with about 20 or so different ascended masters and archangels, and each day I would learn something different about the universe as a way of attuning my intuitive abilities. I then was soon guided to spontaneously deliver messages to people that I encountered. I didn't know what I was doing, but it always seemed to bring healing, relief, and transformation to their lives. So I kind of just went along with it. And as I started to be delivering the messages from the angels and guides that I was working with, they then came to me one day and said, we want to show you something. And so I closed my eyes, and I kind of found myself immediately in a different location. Like my physical body was still in my room, but my mind was projected into a different location. And I found myself at a location that looked like the Lincoln Memorial that I was told was the Akashic Records. And I walked up these stairs, and I saw this big light table, and all the guides that I've been working with were standing there waiting for me. And they said, we want to show you something. And so they all lifted under their chins as if their faces were masks, and they lifted up all their masks, and I was underneath all of their masks. And I gasped. And then I said, I don't get it. Because I knew something big was revealed, but I didn't get it. And they said, we are not only what you are becoming, we are what you have already become. We are agents of the divine, stepping back in time to visit ourselves in spiritual childhood. And so to this day, my communication with guidance continues, but it is a play of oneness where I, the receiver, and the guides in which I'm speaking to are all archetypes of the same one divine consciousness. And so it is through these abilities and through that living presence that I'm able to assist and help in awakening that spark of divinity for the well-being of others and, of course, for the evolution of our planet.
And this is, of course, the most important thing that's going on here on the Earth at this time is this evolution of humanity and the planet.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, just feeling our own divine consciousness, our own spark of divinity. We're going to talk about your book here in just a moment, because I know your book and courses that you're doing relating to the book discuss this. But what are some of the key things that you invite people to do as they embrace their own healing and their own leadership and oneness?
I think the most important thing that I found in working with so many different beings from so many different spiritual paths is that there's so many different approaches to reuniting with our divinity. And yet there can be realizations, there can be, in the moment of self-realization, there can be the moment of enlightenment. But what I have found in my journey is that I've had these experiences, but I've always been motivated to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and that there are literally infinite stages, even well beyond what people think is the biggest realization. And so everything you realize will be true in the moment you realize it. And then sooner or later, you wake up to an even bigger truth and a bigger truth. And the one thing you never wake up out of is love. And the higher you ascend into different dimensions, the higher your vibration goes, the more loving you become. And so I think what's really important is that up until this point in history, we've had beings who want to be loving, but are either leading with their wisdom or seeking a greater understanding. And I think what's really important in a modern-day spiritual era is that instead of leading with a need to understand or trying to rely on what we know, or, of course, judging ourselves that good or bad things happen because of what we do or don't know, that really, if love is the one thing we don't wake up out of, then every step forward on our journey for the benefit of our evolution, for the well-being of our planet, must be taken in the most heart-centered manner. And so for whether someone wants to heal their body, whether someone wants to manifest their highest potential, whether someone wants to improve relationships in their family, contribute to the ascension of Earth, no matter what the spiritual goal is, return to source, achieve enlightenment, whatever the goal is, all of these things can be accessed in the most direct and spectacular way when we allow love to lead the way, when we love what arises. And so for no matter what the spiritual goal is, my invitation is that the highest attainment, the most miraculous reality can be accessed by becoming more heart-centered, more sensitive, and more loving. And I find that being that heart-centered to be the doorway to our own living autonomy.
Oh, my God, I love that, Matt, and that's so true of my own experience, and the something that I sit with also, that rather than be in our head and maybe intellectually explain something, to more stay in our heart and be in the experience of it, because there's only so much that we can do with our voice. It's really our embodiment and expression of it that is so powerful for ourselves and all those that we are in touch with, and that's it's beautiful. This is a good segue into your book. But before we get there, let me come into some questions. Thank you so much, listeners. We've got, a great, huge listening audience here from all over the world, and they were pouring in even before the program began. This is a question from Alda in Piacenza, Italy, and Alda says, sometimes I lose my hope of realizing the awareness that I am. Is it true that if it is not my grace, I'll never realize it? Does it depend on me and my determination?
Great question. And the reason why we lose hope for realizing our awareness is an insight that reminds us that our hope is not required. What is very confusing for a lot of beings is that they, through their ego structure, are trying to be aware of awareness instead of simply seeing that the one attempting to be aware is awareness itself. And so what's very helpful to know is that it is an act of grace, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we just shut down our spiritual exploration and just wait for someone to knock on the door and deliver the goods to us. So it is a grace that involves our participation, but it does not require our exhaustive effort. So when we're kind of finding the middle way on our spiritual exploration, yes, it happens by grace. It doesn't happen by our control or our exhausting effort, and yet we are still participating in the exploration. And so when we're talking about awareness, it doesn't matter what you're aware of. You just are noticing that the one who sees, the one who feels, the one who hears, the one who thinks, the one who breathes, that's awareness. And that awareness doesn't even know itself as awareness, which is why it's a difficult teaching, because we're looking for something, an object called awareness, and awareness is not an object. It is that which sees all objects in form. And even when you are awareness, for most people I've worked with, they've had that experience. You know, I can transmit their experience in 3 seconds. And what's the most hilarious part of that part of the teaching is that most people have that, oh, I am awareness, and it actually doesn't mean anything. Because having a greater awareness of yourself as the witness of life doesn't actually provide us what only opening our hearts to love can truly offer each and every one of us. And so it's really amazing when we start to learn any and every one of us are capable at any moment to have the biggest realizations possible. And they're all realizations that will change the way we perceive life, and it will clarify a lot of things. However, the only thing that's going to really open the doorway within our hearts and is going to truly transform reality within the blink of an eye is when, instead of trying to live in a spiritual obstacle course or every day trying to fulfill a spiritual to-do list, instead we just, with compassion and authenticity, take the time to love and embrace the one who works so hard, the one that has something to spiritually prove, the one who's afraid to be left behind. Let us take the time and just admit the one who works so hard deserves more love, not less. And just that confession is more of an authentic surrender and more of a step forward than anything else.
I love that. Yeah, rather than being hard on ourselves, just the opposite, just being totally loving and present with ourselves and just inviting that gift in. That's beautiful. Thank you, Matt. And let me just bring in one other quick comment and question, and then I'm going to want to talk about Matt's book. His book is called Whatever Arises, Love That. And I know many people are reading that book now. It's a book I look forward to reading. I understand it's one for the library. There's a comment here. Liako in New York City just says, love you, Matt. And I think Liako is sharing for a lot of people on this call. And then Nadine in Romney, I'm not sure where that is, says, how do I get quiet enough to hear my heart?
Very good question. And just in response to the first comment, I love you too. I love everyone. I am so in love with every person and every heart. It's my dedication to the evolution of humanity is a true joy because it really gives focus to my love for all human beings. It's a love it's hard for me to even describe, but it is an absolute love for all beings, all living expressions of divinity, that I just can't help but see the divinity in all things. But the answer to the question, how do I get quiet enough to hear my own heart? What I would say is that for a lot of us, we notice there might be some noise, there might be some distractions, and we're trying to get quiet enough to hear something. And what I would say, just because, again, my job in this role is always to reframe a teaching to make it easy. I mean, my role is to give an invitation that nearly guarantees someone's success. So I always think, in my mind, the spiritual teacher is who does the heavy lifting. Everything's our responsibility. Because our responsibility is to figure out a way to present the teaching in a way that guarantees someone's insight. So instead of trying to make yourself quiet, which again then puts you at odds with noise, if we imagine the noise to be like a child, trying to get quiet is like shutting down the child in order to have a bigger spiritual experience, and that's not the most loving way. So what I would say is that instead of trying to be quiet, let us just spend time listening. And whether we're listening to noise or whether there is a space where no sound arises, just noticing that listening is still occurring, that whether we're listening to thoughts, whether we're listening to the noises other people are making outside of our homes, whether we're listening to an argument on the street or we're listening to a commentary on a news station, no matter what we're hearing, whether it's something or nothing at all, because even the absence of noise is a sound, let us just rest in the fact that listening is always happening. So when I give someone a meditation oftentimes, I don't have them try to make anything quiet. I just want them to sit and listen to whatever's here to be heard. Just like you would turn on music and you would sit and you would just listen to each song. May we allow every thought, every sound to just be another song in life's playlist. And the benefits of meditation is not about trying to hear something specific. It's not about even trying to make something quiet. It's just spending time listening. And the longer and deeper you listen, the more quiet it becomes on its own. And that's a more heart-centered invitation to have that discovery.
Yeah, we are all one, and just listening into the oneness as you share with all of the different pieces and parts of what that might be.
Yeah,
I love that. That's beautiful. Let's and thank you so much again. Gosh, we've got so many questions here pouring in. We'll get to more, I promise, including there are lots of hands up actually on the phone. We'll bring in at least one person's question on the phone. And apologies to you all where we don't get to your question. Again, we've got just a lot of questions pouring in. Matt, can we talk a little bit about this amazing book of yours that just came out recently, late last year? I think it's called Whatever Arises, Love That. Can you share a little about that book?
Yes, it's been such a journey to write this book, because I knew I had a vision and I had a sense that, this is the first of many books that I'm going to write. And for me, the hardest thing was trying to write the foundational book for many more books to come. And whenever I'm writing or speaking, there's just a transmission of energy encoded in my words, whether speaking or writing. So as I'm writing this book and it's flowing through me, I could feel the energy being encoded into the book. And, I went through a couple drafts and revisions of rewriting the book. Because what's funny about my writing process is that I go through energetic upgrades with the universe dearly on a daily basis. So I wrote my book, and it was encoded at a vibration. Then I went through upgrades, and then I was at a very different vibration than when I wrote the book, days before. And then I reread what I wrote. 3 days ago, it was amazing. Now that's not it at all. So then I rewrote the book again, went through upgrades, read it again. That's not it. And this kept happening. Until finally, the energy, the upgrade where I, kind of have leveled out to and where I've really integrated to, and the vibration that I put into the book matched. And when that happened, I knew, okay, this is the book. And the book has gone out, and what's so amazing is that people, just by holding the book, by looking at the cover and reading the book are actually feeling the transmission of energy. Everything I've energetically put into the book, people are actually feeling. Their animals want to be by the book. Their cats are rolling on each page. Dogs want to put their paws on the book like animals seem to want to watch my YouTube videos when their owners are watching them. And it's just so humbling and amazing to see that not only the book in terms of the words that I've been given to offer as like a step-by-step guide to opening your heart and like an owner's manual for life in the fifth dimension, but that the energy itself in the book is healing and transforming so many lives. And it's truly the epitome of what my intention was for the book and what my contribution is. I mean, it is so humbling to see the response to this, and I'm just so excited to participate in watching a world return to love.
Oh, golly. Well, beautiful. And we'll talk a little more about this book, Whatever Arises, love that. And, yeah, what a truly amazing story. I can relate to that, too. We're writing something and feeling like, oh, my God, this is so profound. And it continues to be profound for a day or two. And then just in this other vibration, this download as you share it, you read it and see that there's something else that wants to come through. So, well, we'll look forward to invite people to read that book. I'm sure it's available on Amazon and in bookstores. It's called Whatever Arises, love that. Within Humanities team, we've got leaders that are reading it and are sharing. It's really powerful, so we definitely recommend the book. Let me go ahead and bring in one of the. We've got a bunch of hands up here on the call. We're going to read more questions from people on Instant Teleseminar, but Nanette or Dee or Monica, can we bring in one of the listeners' questions here from the phone, please?
Yes. And I'm calling on David from St. Charles, Missouri. David?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello, this is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Well, great to have you here, Linda.
Well, thank you. I actually have two questions, so if you want to take your pick, my first one is the online class that you're going to be having. I noticed that it said that your recording was made with you looking directly into the camera, and my question was, does that make it a so-called stronger transmission of presence? And the other question was, just intuitively, I have a whole plate of challenges at the time, and I didn't know if there was anything intuitively that you might have to say that would help me to evolve and also be for the well-being of all.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Linda. It's an honor to meet you. I'll answer both questions. First question about the online course. When I looked into the camera directly, I went to Sounds True Studios, and they wanted me to look into the camera. And so, because this online course is a companion to the book, so they took basically the themes of my entire book. They would give me a topic, and then they'd press the record button and have me go. And I did about a 45-minute segment on each topic in one take, because I just kind of go for it. And what happened was, the first time I've ever looked into a camera, I've never had this experience. And what I found is that the transmission is actually more powerful. Not that, of course, my YouTube videos aren't really powerful, but there's something about me looking directly into the camera and just merging into every viewer who will be watching this that literally I feel and I know makes it an even deeper healing experience. So for all those who are yearning for deeper healing on an emotional, physical, and energetic level, and certainly are done clearing and cleansing and would love to just embody and be the radiance that they are, this online course, the Whatever Rises Love That course through Sounds True, something I'm just excited for everyone to participate in. So yes, it does make the transmission more powerful, just like in my in-person events when I'm speaking and I'm looking at each person, healings are taking place. And to answer your other question, all of the issues that you're working with can be distilled down into one simple reason or one simple affirmation. That if the affirmation that I gave you, Linda, is something that you repeat to yourself many times a day, over the course of a few weeks and let's say months, you're going to notice a lot of these things resolved on their own. Because all of this is occurring to get you to admit one fundamental truth. So Linda, if you can, just to realize this mantra, and of course this mantra is free for everyone else as well, but for you, Linda, I feel this is really, really key. Try saying these words out loud. I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Powerful I am.
Powerful I am.
So that's the mantra I would love for you to repeat to yourself many times a day. That I think is going to resolve a lot of things, so you don't have to keep thinking of the reasons why things are happening. But also try these words out loud, and anyone on the call obviously can join along. Try these words out loud. When I reclaim my power.
When I reclaim my power.
Just by knowing how powerful I am.
Just by knowing how powerful I am.
Without needing to prove it to the world around me.
Without needing to prove it to the world around me.
Then I enter a different dimension.
Then I enter a different dimension.
Where instead of being victimized.
Instead of being victimized.
The world conspires to serve my highest honor.
The world conspires to serve my highest honor.
Because only the master within me.
Because only the master within me.
Can admit its power.
Can admit its power.
And now that I have admitted my power.
And now that I have admitted my power.
The world will honor the master I am.
The world will honor the master I am.
As I serve to honor the master in all.
As I serve to honor the master in all.
I am powerful, powerful I am.
I am powerful, powerful I am.
And so I'm fulfilled.
And so I am fulfilled.
And so I am healed.
And so I am healed.
And so I am.
And so I am.
And so it is.
And so it is.
How's that feel, Linda?
Wow, it touches something inside of me. I feel kind of teary-eyed. I
Good.
don't understand, but that's okay. I can be with that.
Yeah, because the not understanding is because I have helped you out of your old reference points, and you're now literally in a new dimension. So what I would suggest as an active practice, and of course everyone on the call can join you in this practice, is that just like I teach the I love yous, where we sit quietly and we say I love yous for an extended period of time, just
yes.
for 1 to 2 minutes, sit quietly each day, a couple times a day, maybe 3 times a day, for maybe 2 minutes at a time, and just breathe in and out, and the mantra is, I am powerful, powerful I am. If you do that for about 2 minutes, nice and slowly, a couple times a day, you'll be very surprised what will happen to your life in less than 1 month's time.
Thank you so much, Matt.
You're so
I love you.
I love you. And everyone loves you, Linda. You're a master. Everyone loves Linda.
Linda, thank you so much for bringing that in, and I can see why Spirit guided this to be you that would share, and then Matt to respond, because just as Matt shared, this was really so much for, I think, all of the listeners on the call. And gosh, isn't this really the invitation here for all of us now at this time in the Earth and humanity's evolution to really step into it and to be the full expression of Spirit that we are. And that's an easy thing to talk about, but often a challenging thing to do. So, and that was so beautiful, Matt. Thank you. And let me share also, this is a recorded call. We're sending out the recording here later today or tomorrow morning at the latest, and there's 48-hour free listening to the recorded call. So no need to take notes unless you want to. Well, let me go to, also there was something you sent, regarding the course. Yes, this course that Matt was sharing that's offered by Sounds True, which is an organization right near us. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and so is Sounds True. Yeah. So we're going to be sending out a link to that as well with the thank you email to everybody. So you'll see that link here too. Matt, let me bring in another question here from Maureen in Menasha, Wisconsin. And Maureen says, hi, Matt, could you please speak about incubation and the need for a massive amount of sleep My dreams are constant, vivid, confusing, and exhausting. Any insights you may provide will be so very appreciated. I love you, Maureen.
Oh, I love you, Maureen. That's so beautiful. When we dream, oftentimes our dreams are just, we are releasing clusters of cellular debris, because for many beings, the abundance of energy work the universe needs to do on you can only be done on a being when in their greatest moment of stillness or being. And for many, that beingness occurs when you're asleep at night. And so when cellular memories are being purged out of your body or out of your subconscious mind, oftentimes what happens is the subconscious mind is becoming aware of all the different memories that are being cleared, and it takes the various images of each of the memories being cleared, and as they're being cleared, it kind of puts them all together and makes up a wacky storyline that often becomes the oddness of our dreams. So even though a lot of people will interpret dreams, and there are dreams that are very prophetic, and of course there are messages in our dreams, a lot of times our dreams are just the vivid residue of a nighttime of releasing so much cellular debris, where all these unrelated things we're releasing, our subconscious mind kind of puts together and makes a storyline out of it. It's kind of like a spiritual form of Mad Libs, where all these unrelated things get put together, and we kind of, while we're sleeping and healing, go for a wacky adventure. So there are messages in our dreams, but oftentimes the dreams are just the proof of what we're releasing and clearing. And so if you have a dream that has a message, the message will always be very obvious. If you're not sure what the message is, there may not be one in that dream. So it's just one of those things where on a spiritual level, we can't always apply the same insight to every situation. Not every dream is going to have a message. And if there is a message, it will be made so abundantly clear to you. And if for some reason it's not clear, it will repeat and repeat until you become aware of it. And as far as incubation is concerned, it's in the aftermath of having a realization of consciousness. Some people have awakenings and don't even have a flash of realization. Like typically we think of realization as, I had a flash of insight, an angel came to me, a light shined in the sky, and I realized I was one with all. Now typically that's called self-realization, but some people have awakening and go into incubation, and they don't even have the flash of realization. And most of the time that happens because people have already had those realizations in past lifetimes, and they're using the current lifetime to incubate and to catch up. And when I say incubate, the easiest way to think of incubation, which is basically a period of time where you're sleeping a lot, you're resting, you're exhausted. Some people experience incubation with some sort of physical illness. And it is the period of time to where the evolution of your spirit and your physical body have to catch up and be on the same page. This often is when we are exhausted. We find ourselves withdrawing from all the things we used to love, and all of a sudden the things we used to enjoy we're not really resonating with anymore. Maybe we don't resonate with the people we used to want to hang out with. And so sometimes the incubation is a desire to be alone. Sometimes it's just an exhaustion that I can't seem to function. And it really is a time for the evolution of your spirit that is always evolving at such a fast rate to let the body catch up so that the body can be a physical vessel through which the light of your soul can shine through. And the most important thing to do in incubation, because when incubation is not understood, it is often misperceived as depression. And so in order for us to experience spiritual incubation instead of emotional depression, when you find yourself exhausted and in need of rest, whether it is inconvenient for your ego or whether you understand it or not, the most important thing to do is to use every moment of rest and every moment of exhaustion as a chance to relax your physical body and to just cultivate faith in knowing that I am participating in a bigger spiritual awakening. And if I allow myself this chance to rest, if I allow myself to take care of myself and not necessarily be everyone else's caretaker, and just be as relaxed as I am exhausted, or relaxed as I am sad, or relaxed as I am lonely, and maybe even use that time to love ourselves more, not less, we will find ourselves getting through the incubation process much faster and coming out the other end fully integrated as anchors of a heart-centered consciousness.
Yeah, beautiful. And your book title, Whatever Arises, love that. It's instructive here because you keep bringing that message back around.
Yes.
That's beautiful, Matt. Let me bring in, there's something kind of related to that. Let me bring this in. This is from Merit, and she's in northern Norway, and she says, I often get extremely exhausted after hearing your transmissions. A couple of weeks ago, I listened to 2 transmissions in one night while walking along the ocean with the northern light over me. It was magic. The day after, I could not get up. I stayed in bed for 5 days feeling like I weighed a ton. I went to the doctor, but everything was fine, except from me hardly being able to walk. I got better and I'm fine now, but still have dip downs the day after listening to you. Is this some kind of integration going on? Why do I get totally fatigued? Thank you for being who you are.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for asking, because it's a great question that will help so many, is that when my transmission is absorbed through a video, think of that as like energetic nourishment. But just like when we eat food, we can put the food in our mouths, but then we have to go through the process of digesting it. So think of kind of like watching 2 of my videos in a row, which I know, it's funny, I recently heard this phrase. Some people get together and watch a bunch of my videos in a row, and I guess they call it Matt Kahnathons. I heard this recently, and I thought it was hilarious. And I thought it was very endearing and touching to my heart. But think of like watching 2 videos in a row or 3 videos in a row. Think of that like a child stuffing their mouth with candy, and then they go, uh-oh, now I have to digest all this. And so what I found with the transmission is if you watch one of my videos, you have just absorbed a lot of energy. It has helped to facilitate a lot of clearing that now in the digestive process of integration is going to assist in helping you become more integrated. If you watch a couple of videos in a row and get really exhausted like that, that means a tremendous amount of clearing has taken place. An up-leveling of your vibration has happened so quickly and so directly that you might be bedridden just so that you can integrate and let your body catch up to the newer energy that has been received. My recommendation is watch one of my videos. If you're going to watch another one in the same day, give it at least 5 to 7 hours space so that you watch the video and then you create space to absorb it and to integrate it. And if you ideally 1 video a day is what I would suggest. If you're going to do 2, I would say, like I said, 5 to 7 hours space in between. And with that kind of process, we're giving enough space to allow the energy that I'm offering to not only be received, to be fully digested. Because what I have found in working with so many on the spiritual field is, it's one thing to want to gobble up all the spiritual energy, which I'm so thankful that I have the honor to provide. But what we gobble up, we have to digest. And what I have found is that the experience of absorbing energy and then the experience of digesting it is very different. And the digesting and integrating is not talked about very much. And when we understand the sacred process of integration, we can drink in the nourishment of the transmission, but we can do it in a more mindful and gentle way so that we can give our body not only the most profound spiritual experience, but allowing ourselves the most graceful and gentle opportunity to digest all that's being absorbed.
That sounds like great wisdom, Matt. I love the analogy of just wanting to kind of gobble up more all of the eye candy, and then realizing, there's a lot to receive and fully digest here, and so maybe creating a course that's easier for our system to digest. That's beautiful. This hour is going fast. We've only got about 16 more minutes. Let's take a quick question from another listener because we have so many hands up on the phone, and then there's another question if we have time that we'll get to here from the Instant Teleseminar. Nanette, is there another listener you could bring in, please?
We have a caller in Santa Monica. You have the line. Please go ahead.
Oh, is that me?
That is you.
It is
and that
you.
was Dee Meyer, who's part of Humanities team. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Matt. You are really an angel. Can you help me get out of this victim stuff that has been going on, and I've wrestled and I've done so much, and this victim thing has just got to go. It just comes up like a snake. I know it's from Holocaust survivor background and feeling guilty of that I can't live in joy and ease, and I want to live in joy and ease. I don't want to be in the struggle and thinking I have to suffer to justify my existence for being here. And I've gone, and it just comes up like a snow snake and grabs me, even when I just don't know how to shake it.
Okay. Well, as you know, a lot of people know, I like to do these repeat after me exercises, because it's one thing when you hear me say something, but if I have you say what I'm going to say out loud, your body translates that as if you came up with it, and it becomes a spontaneous healing. So again, not only for you, what's your name, by the way?
Rolanda.
From Rolanda?
Uh-huh.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice, so nice. I've listened to you. You're just such an angel. I just want to get it and get on with the joy,
Well, let's try something. Maybe let's try a different approach that I can maybe feel into. Maybe we're overlooking innocently. So I'll have you do this repeat after me with me, and again, everyone on the call, we can do the repeat after me wherever you are in the world, so that we can all step out of victimhood in perhaps the most unsuspecting way. So try these words out loud, Rolanda. I accept.
I accept
that I don't know how to step out of victimhood.
I don't know how to step out of victimhood.
I don't know how to stop suffering to justify my existence.
I don't know how to stop suffering to justify my existence.
I don't know how to stop being this way.
I don't know how to stop being this way.
I don't know how to not be grabbed by this energy.
I don't know how to not be grabbed by this energy.
So I call upon the universe. And in surrendering my will.
I
invite the universe to work through me. To enter me now. And to resolve on my behalf. What I have just admitted. I don't know how to do. Because if I admit I don't know how to do it. The universe works through me and does it for me. And does it for me. Otherwise, I'm trying to prove something to myself. While competing with the universe. That is only here to serve me. So now that the universe is working through me. And resolving it on my behalf. I don't have to worry about it. Or make it a goal. I simply have nothing to prove anymore. I'm simply here. To realize what I can't do. Which occurs through endless attempts of failure. Simply so I can confess, I don't know how to do this. And then invite the universe to work through and do it for me. And even though I'm still going to be the one making choices.
Even though I'm still the one going to be making choices.
And maneuvering this body.
Maneuvering this body.
From this moment forward, I know.
From this moment forward, I know.
It is the oneness of divinity doing it all.
It is the oneness of divinity doing it all.
And now that I've surrendered my will.
And now that I've surrendered my will.
That will of divinity becomes my own.
That will of divinity becomes my own.
That I am now.
That I am now.
And so I am free.
And so I am free.
How does that feel? What's that?
It feels a little lighter, and
good.
And there's the part that immediately goes, yeah, but how does it stick, and how does that really, You
want the answer? I'll give you the clever answer. Try this out loud.
Okay.
I accept
that
that the one who wonders if it will stick and how long it will last
that the one who wonders if it will stick and how long it will last
is only here to be loved.
Is only here to be loved?
Yeah. Try this out loud. I'm not really wondering if it will stick.
I'm not really wondering if it will stick.
I'm not questioning at all.
I'm not questioning it at all.
There's just a part of me that uses that question.
There's just a part of me that uses that question
to get in front of me.
To get in front of me.
And beg for my love.
And beg for my love.
So what if instead of believing that it might not stick?
So what if believing that it might not stick
is not the reason for that thought?
Is not the reason for that thought?
That no matter what I hear in my head or feel in my body.
That no matter what I hear in my head or feel in my body.
That's just where the next I love you wants to be sent.
That's just where the next I love you wants to be sent.
So when I wonder, I wonder if it's going to last.
So when I wonder if it's going to last.
My response is, I love you, honey.
My response is, I love you, honey.
I always want to hear from you.
I always want to hear from you.
What you say matters.
What you say matters.
I'm so grateful I get to be the one that loves you.
I'm so grateful that I get to be the one that loves you.
And if I attempt to answer any question.
And if I attempt to answer any question?
Yeah, or think that there's another purpose for a thought.
Or think that there's another purpose for my thought.
Other than to love what arises.
Other than to love what arises.
I'm just going to be lost in endless things to clear.
I'm going to just be lost in endless things to clear.
And the end of clearing begins with loving.
And the end of clearing begins with loving.
Loving what arises within myself.
Loving what arises within myself.
For the well-being of all.
For the well-being of all.
There you go.
Oh, gosh. Rolanda, thank you for coming on and sharing so transparently. I know with certainty that was meant for more than you. So, gosh, thank you for having so much courage to really stand in your truth and share how challenging this has been for you.
And by the way, just as for everyone on the call, we have an instantaneous healing, and sometimes it feels like, but there's still a little bit left that hasn't been cleared. what actually is happening is that the entire clearing has taken place, but because our awareness is infinite, think of something that is cleared as something that vanishes. But as it vanishes, it's leaving behind echoes of its imprint. So when we feel like we've kind of healed something, but there's still something left, it's not that there's actually something left. We're just aware of the echo of what is no longer there. And in a short period of time, with some integration, we will find that all is resolved. But for a lot of us that say, hey, I've cleared some, but there's still a little bit left, it's not really there. It's just the echo, and you're just so aware that it feels like it's there, but it's just an echo of what's already gone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Rolanda. You sound better. Do you feel better?
Yeah, but that same isn't going to, really, because, I mean, I've gone through too much of my life like this. I can't anymore. I need to live in the joy and the love and the ease and the grace and get on with that part,
And by the way, Rolanda, just to help you, what's going to not be helpful is saying that I am imprisoned until I feel joy. Joy doesn't begin with elation, happiness, and ecstasy. It doesn't start with that. Everything arises from the source of emptiness. So actually, the beginning of joy, the moment joy arises, it starts with emptiness. And emptiness is always judged as sadness or depression or a lack. So the best thing to do is, instead of saying, okay, until I feel joyful, until I feel inspired, until I feel up, I'm still stuck in this past. Instead, perhaps just sit with, what if joy is, in its natural state, emptiness? And what if I stopped judging emptiness as a lack, or that something is missing, and that the spaciousness and where nothing is felt is actually the space where joy arises. So if we know joy arises first as emptiness, and we're not waiting for fireworks, we can actually get to know the maturity of joy as the emptiness of our being, which from that space allows something deeper to emerge.
By emptiness, do you mean just lack of clutter?
Emptiness, emptiness is like nothing, meaning you may in yourself judge the emptiness as lack or sadness or heaviness, but it's just emptiness.
Okay, and Rolanda, again, thank you so much for being here. We
are
at the end of our call. I've got some really important announcements, but thank you so much for your courage, Rolanda, and I can just feel there, of course, is just one presence. We can feel into your energy and each other's energy, and it does feel like there's been a cleansing, a healing,
Absolutely.
and this mantra is so beautiful, and it's something that can be a continuing thing, can't it, Matt?
Yeah.
So let me just thank you. There's so much gratitude pouring in. There are just all kinds of questions still, people with hands up, questions pouring in. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And, Matt, my God, thank you. Again, so much gratitude pouring in for the wisdom that you're sharing and the healing energy that you embody, that you can feel in your voice and your mantras and these things that you're recommending. And thank you. I'm not done thanking you, but let me get started that way. I want to share a few important announcements with everybody before we close this call. Of course, this is the Living in Oneness Summit that Matt Kahn is part of, and our next program, we're taking off next week, so we're back the following week on Thursday, March 11th, with Patricia Cota-Robles, and we're doing a special call with her. It starts at 8:30 Pacific time. I invite you to join us for that call. It's Thursday, March 10th at 8:30 Pacific time. If you go to livinginone.com, you can see all of our programs. All of our programs are free, and we do send out a recording with a thank you message after each call. In case you can't participate live, those recordings are free for 48 hours. So I invite you to go to livinginone.com. Also, this program, of course, is focused on living in oneness, so we want to invite you to something that Humanities team created last year. It's called Community Circle. It's only $10 a month, and it's for people who want to be part of an intentional community that's committed to living and embodying oneness, for those who want to collaborate and connect with leaders engaged in spiritual activism, a community that gives and receives support, a program that gives you access to all of our audio links in the Living in Oneness Summit, Global Oneness Day, and our other prayer and meditation programs. There are over 260 programs that you and your family can listen to. There's also a private Facebook community where people share. And beginning Friday, March 11th, we're going to start a weekly Community Circle call that's just for Community Circle members, where we'll come together to share about our journey in oneness and support each other. And again, Community Circle's $10 a month. We intentionally created it as something affordable. If you go to humanitiesteam.org and click on one of those green buttons that says Community Circle, you can learn more about it. Matt, thank you again. This was truly a privilege and pleasure, and just so awesome to spend the hour with you and for you to spend this time with us and all of our listeners. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it and look forward to doing more programs with you. I also want to thank my colleagues and partners here, Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, and Monica Augustine, who were running this program, bringing in the questions and things from listeners. And last, definitely not least, I want to thank all of you, the listeners, who made it a priority to be here with us today. Thank you so much. And in closing, I want to invite everyone on this call to really live as one with the divine in each other. This is ultimate reality, and, of course, one of the best ways to spread the invitation of oneness and to create this world that we've all dreamed about and envisioned is to live it and embody it ourselves. And certainly this is what Matt has been talking about here during the hour. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on Thursday, March 10th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time when we're back on the air with Patricia Cota-Robles. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.